All right. Thanks everybody for joining us today. We're here to talk about some of the best practices here at Qualified for using Piper Email. I am Chris Bockelman, the VP of Growth at Qualified, and I'm joined by Ryan Teasel, our Associate Manager of Growth, who's on my team helping us manage Piper. All right, so let's kick it off. I wanted to talk a bit about where we started with Piper Email. We really started on the website. There are three main places we kind of hit up with campaigns right when we started using the product. The first was we have a handful of forms on our site. It was really obvious that we should put an immediate follow-up after people submitted those forms. So we quickly implemented that. The next one we went to was people who went to go book a demo with us, but never actually completed the process. We get their email address. So what should we do? We set up a campaign to automatically follow up with those folks and make sure that if they did want to book some time, that we were able to do so. Piper handles all those things over email for us, so it's pretty straightforward, completely automated, and basically real time. And the last one is we do still have live chat. We still have SDRs ready to talk to all of the amazing prospects and customers as they have questions. Sometimes, though, people want to talk to us after hours or when somebody's not available. So if that happens, Piper also follows up with those folks and makes sure that we apologize for missing the opportunity to talk to them. But also, we give them a time and schedule that they can book the time that makes sense for them to connect with the team. So these were obvious places to start for a couple of reasons. First, they're super transactional. There's an event that happens, so it's very easy to trigger their campaign right after. Second, they're all really bottom of the funnel. So we knew we were going to get an immediate impact from doing them. These are the main sources where we get pipeline today. So getting a couple extra meetings on the calendar from the same sources by implementing these email campaigns generated more pipeline for our business. After that, we started to look for places to scale our program. So what we started thinking about is where do we have a lot of leads or big activities where we could do more. The first one that came to mind was events. We had always done a great job following up on events, but it was a bit of a convoluted process. We loaded all the leads. They'd go through a router and get assigned out to various members of the team based off of who owned the account and where they were in the buying journey. So sometimes AEs would get like 3 leads or 2 leads in their queue that they needed to follow up on, and they would have to chase them down to make sure we got that 100% follow-up that we were looking for. After we had Piper Email, we quickly implemented a more robust events process, and this started even before the event happened. So we started with pre-event outreach to folks that maybe had attended the event last year or look like they might attend this year based off of like who they were, what technology they used, etc. So Piper reaches out to those folks before the event, tries to pre-book meetings for us on site, also gives all the information about what booth we have, which activations we're part of. And we've been able to book meetings for every event we've had doing this, which is fantastic. We used to do this here and there when we could, but always ran up against SDR capacity. So this is a fantastic add to our events process. Next, we really solidified the post-event follow-up here. All non-pipeline, non-customer leads that we get at an event go straight into Piper Email and get follow-up immediately after. This guarantees that all the folks that would be net new business meetings for us get follow-up. So since we've implemented this, we've been able to easily do 100% follow-up on that batch of leads, which has really helped us improve the results from our event process. Last, this one is new and we just launched it recently. We're also doing a bit of a recycle on events. So folks that attended an event or interacted with us 60 plus days ago, they're getting these emails that say, hey, timing might have been off or you might have been busy when you got back. We'd love to connect. And we're even putting some incentives into some of these campaigns that they've been working pretty well. So that's an exciting addition to kind of how we've been working on events. And what I'd say here is we knew these were a solid source of pipeline for us, but adding these additional activities before and after, and then giving us another chance to revisit the folks was really something we wouldn't have been able to do previously. We have a fantastic SDR team, but they're not, they don't have infinite capacity here to work on some of these larger lists that might not get you the conversion rates you're looking for. So we're able to work, thousands of leads here, basically at scale without any issues. And we've seen the results from doing so. So coming up, we've started to implement some of these things, but, I just wanted to give you guys some of the examples of things we're thinking about. we're starting to look at intent signals. So both from signals and from our ABM platform, we're thinking about how can we trigger campaigns versus, off of people changing buying stages, increasing intent, doing activities, things like hitting high intent pages on the site. The next one we're thinking about is deals that exist or where we've booked the first meeting. Can we start to build out the buying committee automatically by hitting up some of the below the line folks, meaning not the decision makers, not the budget holders, but some of those managers and other folks that may be using Qualified and be super excited by adding it to their stack? Can we get them excited? Can we get them some information and maybe talk to them or book meetings or get them on that initial sales call? And the next one is close lost. We're going to start to implement a Wake the Dead campaign. So we've already had opportunities with these folks. We know why we lost. We have that information in Salesforce. We can easily have Piper personalize that outreach to those folks in a timely manner, 60, 90 days after we lost that opportunity. So these are exciting additions that we're going to add that aren't kind of part of your traditional marketing outreach. They're more of a sales assisted approach or something across the buyer journey and revenue process. But overall, we're really excited about the possibilities of doing more with Piper. And these are three of the examples we hope to implement this quarter. With that, I'm going to pass it to Ryan to talk about some of the best practices he's seen managing Piper email for us.
Yeah. Thanks, Chris. I'll start with a few best practices that require just a bit of back and forth between you and Piper. First, a couple of tips on just how to prompt her within the email simulator. A good start is to use must and must not for any general rules, parameters, or guidelines for Piper to stay within when she's trying to email these people. These must and must not rules will depend and differ campaign to campaign. For example, if you have a post-event list of booth leads, you'll tell her that you must thank them for chatting with our team at the booth and must reference the booth notes field in your first email. Or you must have a call to action to book a meeting with our team in every single email that you send. You can constantly monitor, generate this messaging, change it up, see what she writes, tweak it, and add or subtract these must or must not rules. The next is to be very matter of fact and direct when giving Piper commands. Piper's trained on all of your relevant website content, information, and any additional internal information you give your human SDRs to onboard. So when I'm prompting Piper to do follow-up from an event, I'm giving her simple, easy, and direct commands like these leads are customers who attended our event and are already familiar with Qualified. We want to drive an expansion opportunity with them. Or these leads are prospects who attended our event and may not be as aware of what Qualified does. We want to drive interest and new business with them. Piper's smart enough to put these pieces together, from training her, giving her the content, and finally, it's your turn to give her the nuance of how to pitch your product for a specific campaign. So if you're following up with, say, joint customers of you and a partner of yours, you remind Piper of the story to tell with customers who are using that partner as well as you, and give her specific customer stories to highlight or even a product integration link to reference. Now, when you flip your email campaign to testing in Qualified, this is where you can give Piper a pop quiz and test her with real contact and lead records before actually going live with your campaign. Go through as many emails as you can, confirm she's on brand, on message, and using the right call to action and pitch for your campaign. If she's off, you can go back and revise your prompt and simulate different scenarios. In Qualified right now, you can simulate what she'd say after a no reply, after a person clicks through the email and visits a page on your website, and even after their account searches an intent. Maybe they pass it along to their team and other teammates are looking at your website. I'd recommend running through a whole sequence of 7 to 8 of these emails and scenarios before turning your campaign on, just to see how she'd follow up on all these different scenarios. As you start to think about ways to scale your programs, we'll talk through a couple of housekeeping best practices here within your org and how to get most out of your campaign attribution. You'll want to think about how Piper is going to work with your current go-to-market teams. Asking yourself questions like, what leads and contacts is Piper going to work? Should there be rules of engagement put in place to ensure they're not being double worked by humans and Piper at the same time? Who do you want Piper to be sending from? Should it be an executive on the customer side of the business or your CRO or your CMO? Or is it just going to be one single person like me who owns email and Piper internally? You can also think about who's going to be getting credit when she books a meeting. Will she have an independent territory and quota? Or is she just going to be additive to your SDR team's efforts? Asking yourselves these questions before going live is going to drive excitement across the business, transparency across the business, and a super efficient program for AI email. Finally, getting your campaign names organized in a way to be able to easily find them and execute them and qualify is going to be crucial to ensuring everything Piper does is including your attribution model. Think about how long you'd like this campaign to be, how persistent you'd like her to be, and what you'd like her resolution to be so that Piper knows when she's accomplished her goal and can stop follow up with your leads and contacts. All these best practices are simple, but super essential to an impactful AI email campaign. And now I'm going to toss it back to Chris to wrap things up here.
Awesome. Thanks, Ryan. I just want to give you a couple other quick considerations to think about as you start to implement these programs. The crawl, walk, run approach is super key. Start with something small, easily measurable. Then you can start to expand to something that has higher volume and could be more complex. Like Ryan talked about, prompt writing is a skill that you need to develop. So you're going to have to practice here. So don't get discouraged up front. We're here to help. Your QSA is here to help. So please ask us if you need assistance. There's probably going to be some issues as you start to go through these processes. I'm going to guarantee that 99% of them are caused by bad Salesforce data, which everybody has in their org. So just look at what caused it, see if you can get to the root cause of that data issue, fix the data, and move on. But just know that these are going to come up. So just try to identify them as they happen. And then as you scale, you're probably going to want to consider adding somebody to your team like Ryan. It's super helpful to have somebody who's in there on a daily basis, really watching what goes on and looking at the details and nuance of what she's doing. And last, people are going to get excited about this thing. They're going to come to you with ideas. So just get ready to field those. You don't have to implement them all, but it is an exciting tool to add to your organization, and people will show up and ask for more. That's all. So thank you guys for attending this best practice session. If you have any questions, feel free to drop them in the chat or hit up Ryan or myself on email or LinkedIn. Thanks a lot.